Okay, so we're going to just keep rolling along here. Video three, money. I'm excited about this one. So, money gets a bad rap for sure, and we'll talk more about that. Um, but how do we connect it to life is so much more full and it's so much richer beyond money. So, it seems a little ridiculous to be talking about money in the context of the importance of life. But this is how I see money and how I connect it. Money is a resource, and we talked about using our resources in order to grow fully. It's a tool, man-made, and we use this tool for quantifying value, which is essentially quantifying meaning to put a number on something. How do we put a number on value? And what do we value? This goes right back to life's purpose. We value, if our purpose is to grow, we value that which helps us achieve growth. So, money is, and I'll just read what I wrote here money is any tool used to put a number on how much a certain thing, relative to other things, helps the purchaser achieve growth according to the perception of the purchaser. So, it's in the eye of the beholder, and people can be deceived and manipulated, and they can be wrong. Um, but money is any tool which helps us quantify value. Put money on the things, or put a number, excuse me, on the things that we believe help us grow relative to what else is available on the marketplace. And people aren't perfect, so we miss value. Um, but that is what money is, and it does relate very closely with the purpose of life. We're trying to determine in a market what are the resources that are going to help me grow, um, and how much do I value it relative to other things. And no one cares more about you than you. So as much as people can get deceived and manipulated and can misvalue and misjudge, I absolutely believe that the individual, the sovereign individual, um, will make the best decision for themselves based on their perspective. People get things wrong, but we have to leave when we're making decisions with our money. We have to leave it up to the individual because no one cares more about. I don't care. Look, I excuse me. I care more about myself than anybody else cares about me, and that same is true for you. You know, um, this is who we are as individuals. Yes, we make great sacrifices for others sometimes. We sacrifice our physical body for our children, but our children are an extension of ourselves. Sometimes we make actions which are maybe not in the best interest of, say, our physical body, but that if we look in the context of how permanent our actions are and the significance of them, yeah, so we make sacrifices. But that is still about us growing us. It's just in a better way. It's in a higher level. Like I want to help people as a life coach. I want to meet people where they are and help them grow. I'm trying to grow myself by doing that. I think it's a very noble, um, good thing to be doing, and that's why I'm doing it. And I think that on my deathbed, I'll be able to look back and say I lived a full life because I helped others. But that is about me expanding my impact. You know, I'm still caring about myself, but by caring about others, I can care about myself. It works really well. but the individual is sovereign when it comes to money. So, history and types of money. So, how do we get here? It's man made, right? We need resources to grow. And as we develop socially, we sought to trade with each other. I'll take my 10 sheep, you give me your 4 cows. Here's 3 horses, I want 20 chickens. And it works because we each of us have needs and we can do mutually beneficial trades. But and they help us, like I say here, these mutually beneficial trades help both parties achieve growth. It's awesome. Just like if I get to help you achieve growth as a life coach, I'm achieving growth for me too. We're in this together, and it's good. But it's not exactly efficient to barter. It's useful but not efficient. So people groups began to use forms of money. I think early on there was like seashells and salt and grain and coins, paper, anything that was plentiful, consistent, and easy to count was a good way to kind of put a number on the value of something. We're quantifying value. That's the tool that money is. Excuse me. Today we use digits on a computer, super fast and easy. Um, we don't even have to keep up with paper, but we do. We've got cash. That's a value tool as well. Gold and silver. I wouldn't say as much silver, but there are some places in the world that accept gold for goods. So, and that one is a very strong. Gold and silver are not easy to recreate or to mine. Um, excuse me. So, money is an immensely powerful tool. It's important and it's good. Um, so, why does it get such a bad rap? Well, like any tool, it's not the money that's evil. you know, it's the people wielding it. It's not the car that's a bad thing. Cars are great, but sometimes people make mistakes or they purposefully do nefarious actions. Take a gun. A gun can be great for hunting, for defense, for helping us grow in other ways, but they get bad raps because people use them for terrible destruction of life. So it's not the tool itself; it's people. It always is. It's the way the tool is wielded. Tools can be manipulated, broken, and cause harm. So I forget if I put this further in the slides, but I'll go ahead and talk about it. Money itself is a good concept, but when you put selfish, broken, or put any people in charge of the creation of money, um, they're going to want to use it to help themselves grow to a full extent, and that may include increasing the supply of money um, to support their own goals rather than what would be in the common interest. So, like the dollar gets inflated away, and that's your wealth. That's value that you have given to others, and others have given you dollars for the work that you've done, and then it gets stolen by people who can create it or destroy it, who can manipulate it, and um, it's not whole. It's like having a broken clock. It's right twice a day, but just because the clock is a good idea and a good tool doesn't mean it can't be broken or manipulated. Also, humans lie. I mean, we lie to each other. would try to sell you products that maybe are not exactly what they claim to be. So, so money gets a bad rap in that context of that. Well, we're misvaluing, or we're valuing something incorrectly because we're being lied to. Maybe not on purpose, but we do lie. Um, yeah. So these are kind of some of the things. What went wrong with money? Kind of like I've been talking about, and what are the solutions? So that kind of gives you the history of what money is at its core, and why it's a good thing, and how what types of money we started with. But let's talk about what went wrong with money, and then what are some of the possible solutions. So what went wrong? Well, like I said, uh, it's people. We lie, steal, and cheat. Some of the lies involving money are like counterfeit currency. So that's kind of the classic. Um, you 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 have this value system, and there are nefarious actors on the outside or part of that system that say, "Hey, I want to show that I have added more value to people than I really have, and I'm going to create these fake currency units as if I earned them when I didn't." Um, so counterfeit currency is not as prevalent, I would say, with our digital age. Um, but I would say counterfeit currency would include too, um, selling gold that's mostly gold, but it's been diluted. That's another form of a lie. Banknotes as well. So this is the classic. uh, I think I could do just a 30-minute video on the history of banking and some of the things that have gone right and wrong with banking. So we in our history we found that gold and silver were some of the best forms of money because they couldn't really be manipulated very easily, um, and they weren't used for much other than quantifying value, and they were sturdy. So it's easier than grains of salt or paper to keep up with. But, like I'm about to talk about stealing, people steal. And so banks provide a great service of protecting your wealth that you've earned. And you would go and put your gold in a bank and they'd give you a receipt for it. And then people found, well, I don't need to go back when I do a transaction. I don't need to go back to my bank with my receipt, pull out the gold, take that gold, and give it to the person for the transaction. I can just give them the receipt and then they can go back to the bank. Well, because people lie, because bankers are just as human as as anybody else. Some people might even say a little less so. But we're just as human as anybody else. We realize, okay, I have 100 ounces of gold. I could give 100 ounces worth of tickets, but I could also give 200 ounces worth of tickets because people don't come and get their gold very often. They're just exchanging the tickets, and so they would give out all these tickets, um, and that would lead to bank runs because you know you'd have 150 ounces worth when there were times of stress. People would say, "Hey, I'm going to make sure I can get my money out of the bank because maybe I need it for something." So they show up at the bank, and the bank says, "Okay, well, you've got 100 ounces worth of gold here, and we've got 150 ounces worth of receipts. Um, yeah, we can't fulfill." And the banks would collapse. There'd be runs on the banks, and they would collapse. And that was the issue that should have been fixed. Instead, we created a central bank uh, that just made the problem bigger. And then we ended up getting off the gold standard due to also semi runs on the bank. People were trying to turn their dollars into gold now on the federal level. And we said, no, we're not going to, we're going to sever the the link between your paper dollars and gold. So yeah, and so that's why I put banknotes as kind of one of the lies involving money, because yeah, we said your gold was there, your wealth was there, and it's not. Um, so yeah, tax and inflation. I'm a big sovereign individual guy. I'm big on free markets and individual liberties and rights. I believe that when you respect the rights of individuals, that it's good for the whole. For sure, I believe that we as people, given freedom, given liberty to pursue our growth the best way that we see fit, generally leads to the best outcomes for the whole group. And so I believe things like tax and inflation are a stealing of wealth. Because, like I said earlier, number one, with tax, nobody cares more about you than you. And when you take somebody's money and spend it for them, um, it's going to be spent worse. Governments are inefficient. So I believe that tax should only and ever and always be voluntary. But we don't live in that kind of republic. So I believe that's wealth stealth. And inflation too, because um, when you print money, it doesn't increase everyone's supply of money at the same time. It's called the Cantillon effect. And the people around the money, we would say Washington, D.C. in the United States, maybe some big businesses, people that own assets already, their assets go up in value first. And then by the time the average Joe on Main Street, by the time their salary or their supply of currency that they have goes up, it buys less than it did before. So that's stealing, and that's wrong. And that's another reason money gets a bad rap. And it makes winners out of losers. When you steal money and you inflate it, and you take people's money and give it to people who haven't added value to society, to other people, um, then you're making people that would otherwise, if the value system were working properly, if it were a good form of money, um, then you would be rewarding people that are helping others. But instead, you're rewarding people that are taking from others. And so, yeah, of course, it gets a bad rap for that. And then, even if it's a perfect money system, we are still flawed. We make misevaluations. We suffer from short term thinking. We don't think in eternal perspectives very often. We don't think about the long term consequences of our actions and what we should do with our money very often. So, those are some reasons money gets a bad rap and some of the things that went wrong. So, some of the possible solutions is we use money that's not going to be error proof. Like I said, if it's perfect money, they're still going to be prone to human mistakes. We make mistakes. It's okay. But make it resistant to lies, theft, and cheating. Gold and silver is a classic one. The problem going back on a gold and silver standard is that you have the same security issues that you would have always had. And people are going to take them to banks, and the banks are going to give you receipts, and then we're going to use the receipts. And then the banks can lie about how many receipts are out there, and then they can take it to a federal level, and you have the same issues eventually. Bitcoin, I love Bitcoin, but I don't think it's perfect money. I think it's better than most of what we have out there. But the speed is slow, and then your transactions are public, so you can get the government. Excuse me. You can get federal 3-letter agencies to quite easily track your transactions, although they can't stop them. I think there's a lot of tracking that's done. When you convert dollars, you got to do KYC information. You got to say exactly who you are. And then after that conversion, they can see which wallet it went to, and then they can track the movement of that wallet. Now, I think you can buy Bitcoin and then buy Monero or something that's completely anonymous when you want to make actual transactions with it instead of just saving your wealth. Um, but yeah, I think maybe Bitcoin is a great step in the right direction, but it's probably not the ultimate forms of currency. So, like I said, there's some things that we want to be anonymous and treat the individual as sovereign. We want good money that can't be manipulated. That's finite in supply. Um, so there's I think, given that the world is a free market, every time we go in wrong, bad directions that are will actually slow the growth of humans as an entire species, we also have good people doing good things that will help all of us grow. And so I'm encouraged, and I think that there will be a good form of money eventually, um, and we'll get there. And yeah, ultimately, it'll come down to the individual to use it as a tool for good. Okay, so that's money. It relates fairly close to life's purpose in that we're quantifying those things which help us fulfill our purpose to the fullest extent. Please check out, if you haven't, robertwhewitt.com. Um, I would love to meet with you. So thank you, and I'll see you on video 4.